Hi, how you going? This is going to be my sort of how-to video on all the stuff that's going on uh, when trying to beat Sekiro's tutorial with your eyes closed. Now, the first thing I've got to mention is when you first start your game, your camera is going to be oriented, pointing straight forwards, which is excellent. But whenever you reset, you're going to be facing in a slightly different direction, which requires slightly different sorts of movements. So if you were to start from a fresh game, it would be as simple as just holding forwards at the beginning. But what I would normally do is it will start you looking about here-ish, and then what I'll do to make sure I know exactly where I am, where I'm looking, that kind of thing, is I will hold back until I hear audio in my right ear, which tells me that my character is facing straight towards a wall. Then I just hold left and forwards and then flick out to the right a little bit, and that will almost always get me around this wall. And then all you need to do is hold forwards. You'll hear a little chime, which will be the little tutorial hint to tell you to jump. Wait a little bit and then jump, and keep holding forwards. What's important with trying to beat something with your eyes closed is you need to keep things as consistent as possible. So there's not too much sort of refined movement, because obviously I can't tell where I am. A lot of the time I'll just be trying to make sure I'm holding forwards, or performing as little movement as physically possible. Here you'll get another chime that'll tell you to wall jump. This time you can pretty much jump immediately, and then jump again, and you'll almost always end up roughly around here. Sometimes you'll end up slightly more out that way. I've ended up like here in the past. It just depends how well you're holding just sort of straight forwards rather than holding it at a slight angle or something. So when you're here, just tap left a small bit, then hold forwards and jump. What's annoying about this section is that with the well, sometimes it just doesn't want to let you out, especially with this corner. Like, you can hold forwards the whole time there and it just won't let you get out, which is quite annoying, because it will trigger this sort of rock fall sound effect, which will make it sound like you've gotten out of the well but you haven't, and you'll just fall back down again and be holding straight into this corner. At this point, a lot of the time I'll just reset, because it's not worth it to spend ages trying to figure out where the hell I am at that point. And you can do that either by just opening your eyes, removing blindfold or whatever, jumping off a cliff, or by using obviously the homeward bone. I've forgotten what it's called in this. What is it called? Homeward idol, right? So yeah, this is what your character will look like if you have to reset at any point. You see he's not facing that direction, he's facing over here. So yeah, it's just hold back, then left, forwards, and you'll hear the chime, wait a bit, keep holding forwards, second chime, double jump, and you see that time, because I jumped a little bit early, I think, I've ended up in a different position. I had to jump one more time than normal, so I would have to hold left a bit more to try and jump out. What's good though is a lot of the time you'll hear a rock fall sound, but the way that you know for sure that you're out of the well is you'll hear the music playing, and it will keep playing if you're out of the well. You'll know if you've fallen back down if the music stops. So from here, almost always you'll end up sort of in this corner. You just want to hold forwards, and you'll end up in one of three places. You'll end up here between this rock and the wall, you'll end up here between the wooden pillars and the wall, or you'll end up in this corner. If you end up here, it's quite simple. You know where you are because it sounds like wood. I normally play on like sort of double volume, so I can hear things much easier. I don't have to strain too much. So yeah, you'll hear the wood here, and at that point just hold right and you'll end up in this corner, which is the easiest corner to sort of work your way around in. If you end up here, that's perfect, because now you're here, all you need to do is hold back to the right and then to the left. You've got to be careful though, because if you hold right too much, you'll end up over here, trapped in this corner, which isn't so bad, because you know, obviously you can hear the snow, so that tells you where you are, but sometimes you'll end up in this corner, which is a little bit more frustrating because it's really disorienting, basically, not knowing exactly where you are, because if I'm in this corner, I could just as easily think I'm over here or over here because the ground sounds the same. But yeah, once you work your way around that rock, you'll hear a small chime which will tell you to press X. What I like to do is sort of hold forwards a little bit longer than obviously you can see when you're watching the video. Hold it longer than is necessary a lot of the time because I don't know where I am exactly, and I want to make sure that when I'm pressing X I end up on the wall, because if I try to mash it, a lot of the time I'll just fall off and die. But because I used the homeward idle, I now have more health, which is, to be honest, less useful, since now you got to kill yourself several times before you reset. But yeah, it'll give you a chime that'll tell you that you are in fact on the wall. Then you just have to shimmy. You'll notice the sound for shimmying sounds different to the sound for walking normally, so that's pretty useful. You'll hear another chime, just ignore it, because if I were to drop off here now, I'd just fall to my death. You'll hear these rocks fall. That's when you know you're safe to get off the wall. Then you want to crouch and walk forwards. Hold forward until you hear the grass, and then you want to hold. I'm going to turn the music down so it's easier to hear. The only reason why you need music on is to easily tell that you've entered combat, but there's also a sound effect for entering combat, so the music just makes it harder to tell what's going on. And the music's really useful for knowing you've gotten out of the well. That's pretty much it. So once you're in the grass, you hold left and your camera will sort of focus in towards the wall, and then just hold forwards and you'll end up trapped in this corner by the tree. You'll hear a chime, which is useful. It tells you where you are. You know exactly where you are at this point, so you just need to hit backwards a little bit, right, and then forwards. Now at this point, there's two different locations you can end up here. You will either end up in this corner, or you'll end up sometimes you'll hit this pillar and you'll end up this side, sometimes you'll hit it and end up this side. What's useful is this all sounds like mud, but this corner here sounds like grass. So once you're sure you've sort of reached out to here, once you start hearing mud, just hold left to get in this corner, because then all you need to do is just hold forwards and right a little bit, and you'll end up pushing forwards into this corner here, which is really when you want to be. In my completed run, I ended up sort of to the right of this pillar, and when I hit left, I didn't end up in that corner over there. I only just made it in here, so I ended up in this corner. It just makes this under shack area take slightly longer. Just need to tap right, refocus the camera, hold forwards, and you'll end up in this corner. And then the approach for this corner is to pretty much do the same thing. Tap right, refocus camera, and then hold sort of forwards and to the left, because it's quite easy to overshoot this gap. So forwards and to the left, and you'll end up out. You'll hear the grass. I'm gonna reset because I've got a guy aggroed on me. So yeah, this bit again, you end up in this corner, back and round, and then just hold forwards, and this is where you'll end up to the right of that pillar. So then if you hold left, you'll end up over here in this corner. Then it's just a case of right, focus camera, move forwards, and then after you've held it for a little bit and you're happy that you're in this corner, right, focus camera, hold forwards and left. You'll hear the grass, and then all you need to do is then hold left, and then slowly push it forwards, very, very slowly. And after a little while, you'll want to do that sort of back and round thing until you sort of hear yourself drop, which tells you you've reached the next bit. I've had an issue a few times where I've not ended up on this wall, I've ended up sort of walking forwards this way. If you then hear dirt at any point, just push to the left. And if it happens again down here, then push to the left again. Just listen out for the sound of dirt instead of grass, and the sound of you dropping down, because that'll tell you where you are. Then just hold forwards until you hear a chime. Keep holding forwards, it won't let you drop, so don't worry. And press X. Once you're happy, you're close enough to the ledge. Then you want to shimmy until you hear yourself stop. Then X to get up, and there's two sort of ways to deal with this area. You can time how long it takes to get over here and then hit jump, but that's very sort of sketchy, because if I were to walk forwards at this edge at any point, this is one of the few spots it will actually let you fall, and if you fall down there, it's pretty much a game over. You need to reset. So once you're here, just hold left to end up over here, and then push it forwards, and you will end up in this corner. And once you're happy there, stop, and then hold right and jump, and that's enough to get you over without really any risk. And then hold forwards, you'll hear another chime. So just keep holding forwards, and then jump and press X. Wait until you stop hearing yourself shimmying, and then just hold forwards again. Again, it's not going to let you fall. This bit's kind of annoying because sometimes it doesn't always work, but what I like to do here is tap to the right, focus the camera, and jump and press X to grab onto this, and then climb back up, tap to the right, focus, jump, press X, and then just hold left. And it's as simple as that. It's a lot harder to pull off all in one go, but given enough practice, it becomes a lot more consistent. You get used to where you are sort of in your mental picture of the area. Now at this point is where I'd sort of go into the start menu and turn off the music, because it's really not useful at this stage, because you'll get all the information you need from the sound effects of aggroing people and the noises that they themselves make. You'll want to equip both the healing gourd and the homeward idol, because the homeward idol becomes really useful later. So what makes this bit easier, because this guy here, he patrols sort of back and forth along the top of the stairs there, is I will homeward idol at this stage just to reset the area, so I know where everyone is and it's much more consistent. So now you're facing the door, just need to hold forwards until you hear yourself pull out your sword, then you lock on, run forwards for 3 seconds, and then tap the attack button, and then you can walk forwards a little bit, wait until you hear his running attack, because these guys always open with a running attack if they're far away from you. And at this stage, if you run forwards, you should run into that. Wait until you aggro that guy, and then refocus where your camera's looking based off whether you hear him in your left ear or whether you hear him sort of more straight forwards. That'll tell you roughly where you are, because if I heard him sort of more in front of me rather than to the left, I'd know I was further back, and this, because I hear him in my left ear, it means that I'm sort of, it tells me I'm where I am, basically. So with this, you want to listen to that footwork, and you want to listen out for that sort of, this kind of sound, because the enemies make that too whenever they grab their sword for the most part. And now you want to run forwards again. A lot of the time here, you'll remain locked on, and it will shift your lock on to the people over by the gate to the right there. So sometimes it's good to just sort of tap it a few times. This fighting with your eyes closed is something you really kind of need to get a feel for. There's no real way to sort of, I mean, as much help as I can give with, you know, timing deflex, which is something that's purely reactionary. You just need to sort of try it for yourself, and that will give you a better idea than I could by trying to explain it. So at this stage, you'll either, sometimes you'll be facing forwards and you won't be locked on, sometimes you'll be locked onto him. So after you've killed that guy, just walk forwards and stop, you'll aggro this guy, you'll hear him. Now you can lock on. And what I'll do here is head to the left, because I know that guy's going to be to the right of the gate, and I want to position myself in the left corner, to the corner at the left of the gate. This isn't something that ever happened to me during any of my attempts. I did not aggro the guys the other side of the wall based off the sound of me killing enemies before. That's not happened to me. But what I would normally do here is, you'll see me do it in the video, I'll jump up here and I'll try to wait, because the guy with the hat, he sits here in this corner, sort of looking in this direction, and if you stand where I was standing, oftentimes you'll aggro him after a little while, or at least you'll alert him and he'll come around to sort of check what you're doing. That allows you to sort of, you know, jump down here, you'll aggro the other guy and you can deal with him on his own, or alternatively you can do what I did in the video after I gave up, which might actually be more consistent. Like I said, I didn't get to practice this area too much because it was actually not as hard as I was expecting it to be. I just sort of, you know, I don't have a perfect solution for this area yet. So it might just be easier to just, once you're up here, hold forwards and to the right a little bit, and you'll drop down, you'll hear both of them aggro, and then lock on and, you know, kill them based off of the sounds that they make. Again, at this stage, it's very difficult to tell where you're looking. If you don't move at all, you know, hopefully you'll be looking in this direction. You can just hold forwards and to the left to aggro this guy. But otherwise, you'll see what I did in the video. I just sort of had to wander about for a bit until I could aggro him. This guy's pretty easy to manipulate. If you attack him twice and then hit deflect immediately, he has an attack that's sort of a sweeping attack that comes from the right, that if you deflect immediately after 2 hits, you'll properly deflect. He also has a slightly slower one which will just block at that stage. But the best way to kill this guy is just by attacking him twice. That's the slower attack. That's the fast one. He's actually really quite forgiving, and once you hear him die, if you homeward idle, it doesn't matter if you've not been over there yet, it will always give you the checkpoint after you've killed this guy. So now that I'm here, I will hold forwards and to the right, and then hold forwards, and that little pillar, just here, this one here, angles you perfectly to walk straight onto this log, and you just need to hold forwards. Once you're happy that you've stopped, you just need to jump and press X, and then hold to the right. This bit's really easy because pretty much everything's either like a wall hang or a wall hug. Once you hear yourself stop, just drop down, hug the wall again, hold forwards until you reach over this side and you'll hear yourself stop again. So then you stop hugging and just sort of slowly walk forwards until you hear yourself drop. Then you want to hold forwards until you hear yourself drop again. Then go to the left and press X, and it's just another wall hug until you hear yourself stop. And you can come off the wall, focus the camera. At this stage, if you see here, there's a gap there. If I just walked forwards here, I would fall off. So when you walk forwards off of this wall, you'll want to jump. And then just keep holding forwards, you'll hear yourself drop down. It sounds like wet ground, don't worry, you won't have fallen down there. I made that mistake when I first reached this area. I thought I'd fallen down to the geckos, but yeah, you'll fall here, then just hold forwards. If you hear snow, it means you're either over here or you're in this corner, and then you just need to hold left and then mash X basically, and that'll be enough to get you to the door. All the ground's pretty consistent with the sounds that it makes. Like a lot of the time, the ground will, you know, give you a huge hint as to where you are. There's only one place where the ground didn't sound like what it was, I'll show you that now actually. I forgot to mention it's useful to mash X along here just so you can pick this up, because that can be quite useful for taking out a boss later in the game. Whether or not I get that far, I don't know yet, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it's really easy to pick up. This is the area. You'll hear this sounds like dirt rather than snow. And once you're in the tunnel, you just need to hold forwards and sort of wiggle left or right if you think you're caught in a corner behind one of these pillars. So yeah, I hope you found that helpful, and thank you for watching this. We'll see how far I get.